Hi everyone, Vanessa here from Love Riley. Welcome back. Today we are going to be sewing up the Celeste bag. This is the second in the East-West bag collection from Rosa. And isn't it amazing? It is absolutely adorable. It's definitely a compact size, but you can fit a lot in here. I had so much fun making this bag. I absolutely enjoyed it from start to finish. And she is just cute. It was so quick to sew, and the card slots are by far the easiest card slots that I've ever sewn. I absolutely love it. This detail here is just perfect for this bag. The strap ends, the way that it all comes together is amazing, and these edges here on the bag are just amazing, absolutely amazing. They come together so well and they just give the bag a unique shape, but it's just beautiful. Let's go over it. I chose to use green on this bag. I don't use a lot of green. This year one of my goals was to use more vinyl colours that I don't normally use, so blue greens. So I went with green to match the leaves in the print, and I love it. We have a beautiful recessed zipper panel here. I love recessed zipper panels. And we've got a zipper end there. More bling, the better. And then we have the inside of this bag, and as you can see, it opens up quite wide. There is a lot of room for a little bag. On the back here, we've got a slip pocket which doubles as a zipper pocket, and oh, I love it. Then on the other side, we've got another slip pocket as well as card slots, which again I'll say were the easiest card slots I've ever done, and I could make them all day because they're really that simple. This is the back of the bag, and as you can see, this strap detail is just gorgeous. I messed up the placement for my rivets here. I was meaning to measure the rivet placement here, and I measured wrong, so all I did was just put a rivet through the hole there, just made it a decorative feature on the bag. This is the base of the bag. I added some purse feet here. You don't have to, but like I said, the more bling the better. It is perfectly interfaced, perfectly stabilized. For my inside here, I used a cotton woven. I go through all of that in the pattern. Even the top stitching on this was absolutely amazing to do. I had absolutely no problems doing the top stitching at all. Isn't she just gorgeous? I absolutely love this pattern. I also have a Facebook group, Sewing with Love Riley, and I'll leave a link in the description below. So if you make this bag, feel free to join my group and share your version of it. So if you'd like to see me make the Celeste East-West bag, then keep watching. Have an amazing day, and I'll catch you all very soon. Bye. Let's start with all of our exterior pieces. This vinyl I had custom printed through By the Bay Craft Supplies. I'll leave a link down below for them. This is my bottom panel. I've got one of these out of my exterior vinyl. This is stabilized and interfaced in a very particular way, so make sure that you read the pattern instructions. On the base I have Decaville Heavy, and then I have foam over here. Again, all the measurements are given in the pattern, and then I've put a medium woven interfacing over the top of that. So that is the bottom piece, one of those. These are my main panel pieces. I've got two of these Decaville Light as per the pattern. This contrasting vinyl that I'm using I got from Spotlight. This is my top trim lining. I've got two of these, and this is on the softer side, so I have used a medium woven to interface that. So two of those. I'm choosing to do the short handles, so I've got two of these, again interfaced with my medium woven, so two of those. This here is my strap detail, and again I've interfaced that, so that's my strap detail, so I've got one of those. These are my zipper panels. I've got two of these, medium woven, two of those. This is a quilting cotton that I got from Spotlight, and I've interfaced all of my lining pieces with a medium woven. So I have a zipper pocket front, one of these. So this is my main lining card backing. I've got one of these. This is my zipper backing, one of these. Zipper pocket lining, one of these. These are my card slots, one of those. These are our main lining side panels. Make sure that you are mirroring these when you cut them, and there should be 4 pieces in total, 2 sets of each direction. So make sure that you cut those mirrored, 4 of those. I'm just using this green number 5 zipper tape. Hardware, I've got bag feet, just the screw-in bag feet. I've got 4 strap ends. I've got 2 number 5 zipper pulls. I've got a zipper end. I've got my nameplate. I've got an O-ring. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to use that. And I've got a 1/2 inch swivel clasp. This is for the front detail, and D-ring, one of those each. And I've got some Chicago screws. As always, if I've forgotten anything, I'll leave a note on the screen. So let's get on and sew the Celeste East-West bag. I'm going to start with my handles. I've just marked my line down the centre underneath my stabiliser. I'm adding double-sided tape down that centre line, and then I'll fold both edges up just underneath that line, and then these get folded over again. You want to make sure that you leave a gap. It doesn't have to be big, smaller than 1/8 of an inch. There we go. As you can see, I haven't left much of a gap. We're going to fold this in half again, and we're going to top stitch down each side 1/8 of an inch. Across the bottom and back up the other side, 1/8 of an inch. And then back up the top. There's one handle. There's our 2 straps done. Now you want pack number 1. That's going to be your bottom, your main panel, your purse feet, and your handmade logo if you're using one. We're going to start with our bottom piece here, and we're going to install our bag feet. The measurement for your purse feet are given in the pattern. We can go ahead and punch these. I'm just going to use my Japanese hole punch. What I'm going to also do is add some extra foam. Every time I install these purse feet, I end up having to bulk it up because there's gaps. So let's just do that to begin with. So I'm just using offcuts of foam. I'm going to put my screw through the back of the foam, through my bag, and then screw the front on. And just screw the back on as tight as I can get it. And you don't want to be able to see a gap underneath there, and I cannot, so that's good. And then I will cover this with masking tape as usual, just to stop these from pulling back through or rubbing on my lining, which they shouldn't, but you never know. Then we want one of our main pieces. Make sure that you've marked your top edges. So I'm just going to find the center, top and bottom. There's my center. There's a measurement given in the pattern of how far up Alexis recommends you pop your name tag. What you want to do is you want to start with your front, so mine's got my name tag, and then you want your bottom panel. You want to make sure that if you haven't installed your name tag, that this is the right side up, so that your seam allowance here at the top is wider than at the bottom, so you won't have any decaville at your top edge. I'm going to match up my center bottoms So I'm just turning these upside down, right sides together, and we're clipping these and sewing these with the full seam allowance in the pattern. Then what you're going to do is you're going to trim your seam allowance down on your bottom panel to 1/8 of an inch. Then you want to get some double-sided tape, and you're going to run double-sided tape along the seam allowance at the bottom of your full size panel. So not the one that we just cut, the main panel. So we're running it along that bottom edge. I'm just using 1/4 inch double-sided tape. Then what we're going to do is fold this out, remove the backing off your double-sided tape. We're going to push this seam allowance towards the bottom of our bag. So lay that out flat. So we're pushing this part that we just put the double-sided tape to over onto the bottom panel, just like so. Then we're going to top stitch along this bottom panel at 1/8 of an inch. So there's my top stitching just there. Then we're going to repeat that for our other main panel. So make sure again that your top is at the top. And I'm turning mine upside down, right sides together, and we're sewing this with the seam allowance given in the pattern. We're going to trim down that seam, and then we're going to top stitch. I don't know how much of this I'm going to get sewn before I have to finish for the evening, because we're about due to get hit with a cyclone. I think this will be a pretty quick sew. Full seam allowance. From the top edge, I'm just going to draw a 1-inch line. I wonder if this is drop-in lining, I didn't even check. And I'm going to do that on both ends. So, and then we're going to run double-sided tape along this. I'm going to run a strip of 1/2-inch double-sided tape along this top edge of this line that we just drew. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to trim the seam allowance in the bottom 4 corners here to 1/8 of an inch. And this is just to reduce the bulk. So trim all those down. And what we're going to do is the 2 bottom seams just here, I should have done a different colour. The 2 bottom seams here, we're aligning wrong sides together. So flip your piece over and we're going to line these 2 edges here up. So fold those in half and line those seams up that we just sewed. And then you're going to clip the bottom here, wrong sides together, and we're going to sew this with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. The bottom, fold those together, line these seams up here that we just made, these ones, clip them together, and then we're going to base this with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. You don't want to go past the edges where we've top stitched, so do that on both sides. So once you've sewn these together, push your top edges back on that seam, both of them, so they're right sides together, and then it's going to create this bottom here. The seam that we just sewed is in the middle here. We're going to line all these edges up and clip them into place. So again, folding these together so that it looks like that, and matching your top edges up and clipping it into place. Now, depending on the materials that you used, it is going to be thick down the bottom here, so just keep that in mind when you're picking your materials and your machine's capabilities. So then this is what we have. Looks like a little boat. Next, we're going to sew this with the full seam allowance. Now, it does tell us here in the pattern to go ahead and add some reinforcement stitches. I'm just going to start my reinforcement stitches just below this 1 inch line here, and I'm sewing them right next to the ones that I just did, not even 1/8 of an inch away. Then we're going to trim this seam allowance. I'm going to do the other side first before I trim any seam allowances. Then I'm going to start with those reinforcement stitches just below that 1 inch line. At the top, there's a measurement given in the pattern. Measure that on either side, and then what you're going to do is you're going to trim your seam allowance down, but you're not trimming this top edge here where we marked that line. We're going to trim this to 1/8 of an inch. So I'm starting just below that line that I marked, and I'm trimming this down just like that. Then what we're going to do is turn this right sides out, and then this should have created those beautiful bottoms that the pattern has. So you want to go ahead and press your sides out. Oh, wow, these are gorgeous. Oh, I love this. So that now has created these folds at the bottom, and that is what it looks like from the inside. I love it. Next, we're going to remove the double-sided tape, and we're going to fold the edge down to meet that 1 inch line. So get yourself a heap of clips. Fold your seams out at the sides best you can. I'm going to get double-sided tape just to hold these seams open. So I can clip those down to that edge, and now we can fold down this edge. This vinyl is folding down perfectly. Set that to the side. Next, you want your card slot piece and a ruler. On the wrong side, there's a measurement given in the pattern of where we draw our first line. So go ahead and draw that. just like so. Then there's another measurement given in the pattern, and you want to go ahead and you want to measure that as well, and then draw your second line. So you should have 2 parallel lines. You're going to need to heat your iron. That first mark that we made, we're going to fold along that line, and we're going to press that. And then what you're going to do is turn it over, and on that second line, so lift that crease up, you're going to fold it right sides together along this line here. And you want to go ahead and press that as well. So once you've pressed that second line, this is what you should have. Then what you're going to do is you're going to grab this top end and you're going to turn this over and fold all of this wrong sides together, and it's going to create this top edge here. This was our excess piece. We're folding that towards the back, and it gets aligned with our raw edge here. So then we have a big M. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch along this top edge 1/8 of an inch. Then you're going to also top stitch this folded edge here. So just fold it out and top stitch, and then fold it back into place. Then on the first fold, only the first fold, we're going to draw a line, and you're doing it from the left edge. Make sure you use an erasable pen. Then what you're going to do is you're going to, from the right hand side of that first line that we drew, you're going to do another line. The measurements are given in the pattern. And again, you're only doing it on this very first card slot. There's my one line, and there's my second. I'm going to fold this up out of my way, so the back piece, and we're going to top stitch these down. This is going to create our card slots. So I'm going to top stitch along those lines, and then I'm going to press it with my iron to get rid of the marks that I just made. So top stitching on that line, make sure this excess is up out of your way. And I just back stitch twice at the top of that card slot just to reinforce that. Then what we're going to do is we're bringing this excess up and over, and we're clipping it to the bottom edge of our card slots. So then this is what it's going to look like when it's clipped. Lifting that up and folding that right sides together. We're going to sew this with the seam allowance given in the pattern, and then we will be trimming this seam allowance down. Trim the seam allowance. Then you're going to turn it right sides out. Then you're going to press this really well. Once you've done that, we want our main lining card backing. I'm going to go ahead and find the center. There's a measurement given in the pattern. Make sure that you check that this is the right side up. Next, you're going to make a measurement from this bottom edge up. You're going to put your card slots along that edge that we just marked, and you want to clip this into place. These would have to be the easiest card slots I think I've ever made. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch all along here. So down the side, across the bottom, and then back up the other side. What I'm going to do first is I'm just going to top stitch or baste these sides first and I want to go from the bottom up to the top, that way nothing's going to shift, and then I'm going to do the bottom. You could do it all in one, it's completely up to you. Okay, they're both done, and now I can do the bottom. Want your main lining side panels, and you want one set each, so obviously one with the cutout going to the left and one with the cutout going to the right, just like so. You want to place these right sides together, so when you fold it out, your cutout should be facing out. Then we're going to sew it with the seam allowance given in the pattern. Then we're trimming down the seam allowance, but we're only trimming it down on our main lining side panels. Trimming these to 1/8 of an inch. My husband just said, I thought you could be in trouble, so I came out, but you were talking to yourself, so I left. Oh goodness, I was videoing obviously. Okay, we're opening this out and we're top stitching. We are top stitching on the side panel side. And opening this out and top stitching on that side panel. So your seams should be underneath your side panels. So now what we have are card slots here and a slip pocket here. Love it. Then what you want to do is you want to turn this over, and we're trimming the excess out of these seams that we just created. So trim these down. Again, this is all to reduce bulk. Let's test our card slots. Love it. Perfect. And we're going to move on to our zipper pockets. You want your main lining zipper backing. You want your zipper front pocket, your zipper pocket lining. We want our side panels and our zipper pocket front. You want your zipper pull and your zipper tape. You want your zipper pocket lining. We're going to start with that first. Now your zipper tape should be longer than this piece. Make sure that you know which edge you're working with, because they're very similar in size but different. Okay, you want your zipper right sides up, and you're going to tape this in place. So find the center, right sides up, right sides up. Next, we're basting this on with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Next, you want your main lining zip backing, which is going to be your bigger piece. You want it right sides up. So right sides up, right sides up. You want to clip the bottom edge of your main lining zipper backing right sides together with your zipper. So I'm flipping this over. This is the bottom edge, and I'm clipping this together. Make sure your zipper is sandwiched in the middle. And we're sewing this with the seam allowance given in the pattern. Next, you want to press your main lining up and away from your zipper tape, just like so. And you're going to wrap your lining around your zipper tape. So you're going to fold it to the back, so turn it over, and you're going to flip it down. And what it's going to do is it's going to create the top edge up here. So your seam should be right in the middle. So I'm wrapping it around that seam there. So even if you flip that up and just wrap that around so that it sits flat, just like that. And that's going to create a finished edge. That's going to be roughly 3/8 of an inch. And you want to double top stitch this edge. So we're top stitching 1/8 of an inch from the top edge and then 1/8 of an inch closest to the zipper. So you should have equal distance, and you should be able to see your stabilizer right now when you've sewn it like this. That is correct. Then what you're going to do is you're going to separate your zipper. Just like that. And turn it upside down, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to base this in the center of our zipper pocket. So just as we did before, move this out of the way and base this into place. 1/8 of an inch. So then this is what we have. You want your main lining up, folded up out of the way. So you've got your main lining facing towards you. You've got your zipper edge here that is finished, and then the one that we just sewed up the top. Then you want your zipper pocket front, and you want that right side up on your workspace. So this is my zipper pocket front here, and we're going to take this edge that we just basted on, flip it over and line that up with our zipper pocket front. So from the wrong side now, what I can see is the right side at the sides here of our zipper pocket front. This is our zipper pocket lining and our main lining zip. So those two are wrong sides up. What we're going to do is we are then going to sew this with the seam allowance given in the pattern. So we're sewing the lining to the front pocket lining. So from this side, when we turn it over, we can see our finished zipper here, our main lining here, and our zipper pocket front here. We're going to press this away, and we're folding this down as well. So we're wrapping it around just as we did on the other side. So on the back side, you can see the front, our zipper pocket front, the wrong side of our lining and the wrong side of our main lining. Top stitching 1/8 of an inch from that bottom edge, and then 1/8 of an inch from the top edge, just as we did on the other side. And then these are going to get joined in, and this is going to become our zipper panel, which is exactly what we're doing now. So this is what we have here when we join all this together, and we're going to put our zipper pull on. We're going to have to put it on, pull it all the way off, and then put it back on. All the way on, all the way off, so that it creates your zipper and it's not open on one end. And then I'm going to put it back on, and I'm going to leave it in the middle. There we go. So we will have our two finished edges. We're going to have a smaller pocket here. We're going to have an excess at the back, and then we're going to have our zipper pocket in the middle. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull all of this out of the way, and we're going to sew our zipper pocket up with the seam allowance given in the pattern, but we're not going to go up any higher than where we've done our tape. So we're going to stop just before we hit this seam here. And this is closing our zipper pocket, and then we can trim this down. Again, this is all to reduce bulk. So flip it over. You can trim these seams down. You want to come in here, you do not want to trim all the way to the top. So just trim out a little bit at the sides, but you don't want to trim as high as your stitches go. You want to stop just before. Okay, so now what we want to do is you want to flip your exterior down, so your bigger piece, and then we're going to flip it back up, and this is going to create a slip pocket. So what you want to do is, there's a measurement given in the pattern of roughly how big this should be when it's finished. However, you want to make sure that you have enough of your lining and enough of a gap that your sides match up. So you want your finished pocket to be the same size as your side pieces that you're going to put on. So go ahead and clip all this into place. We're going to baste this first, and then we're going to add our sides on. So basting this together. You only need to go down as far as the slip pocket is. So as long as you get that slip pocket side, and you want to repeat for the other side. Then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and put your sides on. So again, we're going to match these right sides together, and you want to make sure that the cutouts are pointing out. Then we're sewing this with the seam allowance given in the pattern. Make sure that your zipper pulls in the middle, so you're not going to sew over that accidentally. Then we're going to trim down this side lining that we just sewed, and then flip it open and top stitch. We're top stitching on this side panel side. I don't use green very often, but I'm really liking this colour. And then that is our slip pocket and our completed zipper pocket. I love it. And I love that when you open the pocket, the stripes go the opposite way. That was intentional. It wasn't really. Then you want to come in and you want to trim these seams just like we did before. Now we can set that to the side, and we're onto our zipper panel. Next, you want your top trim lining pieces, your zipper panels, your zipper pull, and your zipper tape. We're going to start with our zipper panels. You would need some double-sided tape, and you want to run a strip of double-sided tape along the short end of your zipper panels. So I'm just using 1/4 inch double-sided tape. I'm just going to measure 1/2 inch from this short edge. That's double the width of my double-sided tape, and I'm just going to fold my short edges up to meet that line. And I'm going to clip this into place because it's not going to want to stick. You want to do that on all 4 ends. Then you need your zipper tape, and we're going to do the 90-degree turn. Sounds like a dance, doesn't it? On the right side of my zipper tape, I'm going to draw a 1-inch line. That way, even if my zipper tape for some reason is not straight at the end, this line is. Then I'm going to pull my zipper tape down. At that 1-inch line, I'm going to create a fold along that line and push my zipper tape to the back. So it creates the 90-degree turn. I'm going to use a pin and pin this into place, and then I'm going to baste it together. Along this edge, I'm going to baste it in place with a 1/8 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to do the same on this side. So again, pinching at that line and then pushing the zipper tape out to the side, and that line that we folded at should be underneath the teeth of your zipper tape. And now I can baste this in place. And then you can trim the overhang, but because I am trimming a zipper tape, I'm going to come in and heat seal it, and then I can repeat for the other side. And then we're going to take our zipper apart, separate the zipper. We're going to separate our zipper. Next, what you want to do is you want to get one of your zipper panels, and you're just going to clip it at the end just to hold it in place. So make sure that your edges are lined up and pop a clip on it. Then what we're going to do is get one of our pieces of zipper tape. So I've folded that in half. Get one of your pieces of zipper tape, and we're going to put this inside our fold. And we're going to have the 90-degree turn that we did at the same end as our fold. So sandwich that in between. The teeth of your zipper should be right up against that fold. And we're going to clip this into place all the way down. This here now is how it should look. Against this folded edge, we've got the teeth of our 90-degree turn. So our zipper tape is right up against that edge there. Then when you lift it up, you can see my zipper teeth there pointing down. Now what we're going to do is sew this with the seam allowance given in the pattern. We are not going to sew off the edge of these bits that we folded over. You're going to stop around about 1/8 of an inch before you get off here. Now I'm getting to that end. I'm going to stop before I get off onto the zipper tape. So then that's what it looks like. Then we're going to come in and we're going to trim the ends here down to 1/8 of an inch. You do not want to trim your zipper tape, but this is going to help when top stitching to reduce the bulk. Don't trim your zipper tape. You can also come in here where the teeth are, and you can just trim around here again to reduce bulk for when we top stitch, but don't trim your zipper tape. So that's one side done, and then we're going to repeat for the other side, and it'll be mirrored. It'll be the opposite to this that we've just done. We're folding it in half. This time I've got my fold closest to the machine. Raw edge of my zipper tape is going to match up with the folded edge of my zipper panel and the raw edges are all going to get matched up. So the raw edge of my zipper tape matches up with the top edge, the raw edges of my zipper panel. You could use double-sided tape to help hold these in place if you're worried about them shifting. If you put a clip here at the bottom, it helps hold it all together. This time I'm going to start sewing from this end and come up to my folded end. I'm going to start 1/8 of an inch before this edge. Just like we did on the other piece, we're going to trim the seam allowances without trimming your zipper tape. Then we can fold these right sides out. So push these back together and we want to line all these up. And then this has become your finished zipper panel. Next we are going to go ahead and top stitch this. And when it's on our bag, you see they're going to match up. Okay, let's top stitch. What I'm going to do is I'm going to baste this open edge. I'm going to come down and then start my top stitching, completing a big rectangle. 1/8 of an inch. This is going to be thick here at this end, but this is why we trimmed these seam allowances. So now here I'm starting my top stitching. That's one done. And then while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and find the center because we'll need that for later. So you can set those to the side. Next you want your trim pieces. You want them wrong side up on your workspace, and we're going to draw a line across the top. And then you want to write here at the top, so you don't get it upside down. Okay, 1 inch line top. So want double-sided tape at the top of this. I'm just going to use 1/2 an inch. Then we can set that to the side for the moment. Next you want your zipper panels. You also want your main linings. I'm going to start with the zipper pocket. I want right sides up and right sides up, so my zippers are closing to the left. So I've got the right side up of my lining and the right side up of my zipper panel. And this is the piece where the tail is off to my right. And clip that in place. So if you haven't already, find your centers and then clip it into place. Then this will get basted on, and then we're going to add our trim. Your zipper teeth should be facing up, so you can see the right side of your zipper teeth. Baste that onto our main lining, 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Next, you want one of your trim pieces, and we want to go ahead and find the center. where I've got my double-sided tape, that's where we wrote top. We're going to turn that upside down so that the smaller seam is now at the top. We're going to put this right sides together with our zipper in the middle and clip this into place, and this should go across the whole of your lining. Make sure that you do not get your zipper tape in the way when you're doing this. So just pull your zipper tail down and just clip it to the side of your lining, and that way you're guaranteed to not get it in your seam, because they can be sneaky sometimes and creep up. Okay, we're sewing this with the seam allowance given in the pattern. We're trimming the seam allowance from the lining. And you want to lift this up. We're lifting our zipper panel up out of the way, and we're top stitching on our lining. Our seams go underneath our lining. Now Alexis does say in the pattern with your thicker seam allowances to either clamp them or use a hammer to flatten them, whatever you need to do to get them to work for you. So that's one side done. So now we're going to repeat for the other side. Right sides up, right sides up. This time my zipper teeth are now facing the right. We're going to base this on and then add our trim. You want your trim piece. Again, making sure that you're attaching the right side. So you're not attaching the side that's got our double-sided tape. Attaching the side that's got the smaller seam allowance. Seam allowance given in the pattern. You can trim down these seams at the back, flipping everything up. Our seams go underneath our lining, and we're top stitching on our lining. You're going to clip these tails up out of the way, and you want both of your lining pieces. Then what you're going to do is you're going to put both lining pieces right sides together, matching up your bottom centers, and we're going to clip these into place. You can hear my husband outside. He probably thinks, oh, she's talking to herself again. We're going to sew these together with the seam allowance given in the pattern. Then I'm going to press the seams open and top stitch on either side of this bottom seam. You can use double-sided tape if you think that'll hold these open while you top stitch them. I'm just going to hold them open as I go. Okay, that's one side done. Now the other side. Okay, now there's some measurements that we need to mark from here. So turn it wrong sides up, and on the straight edge of where this V is, we're going to mark on each side. So right there, and on this side as well. Guess it won't hurt to do it on both ends. Probably only need it on one, but okay. Now you want to join these right sides together, and we're clipping the sides. Okay, do that on both sides. Now we're going to sew with the seam allowance given in the pattern, but we're stopping at that line that we made. You're going to backstitch really, really well. So I've backstitched twice at that mark, and you want to repeat on the other side. I'm going to start my sewing at that mark that I made, backstitching very well. Then we're going to clip these together. So we're going to pull these together and line them up. Lining up your edges, your cutouts. Start clipping those into place. So you're going to have big V's. Pushing these together, and these will line up. So from the right side, this is what it looks like. Just like we do a box bottom, we're pulling these together and we're lining up the seams. And then if you look inside, it's going to make the little boat edges. Then what we want to do is we want to do this in two parts. So we're going to sew from the mark that we drew here across to this corner here, and then we're going to repeat on the other side. So from this outside edge here to this seam that we, or to this mark that we drew earlier. Just drawn this seam allowance so I can show what I'm saying. You're going to sew the seam allowance given in the pattern across here up to the mark that we made earlier. So that's how it's going to look, and you want to do that on all edges. So if you need to draw your seam allowance, do that if it means that you're going to get it correct. There's one side sewn. We are trimming the seam allowance down. So that's what it looks like. And so we're going to repeat on the other side. And we've got a finished edge. I would suggest drawing your seam allowance. So now that's how it is. Next we're going to fold all our seams down just as we did on the exterior, down to that line. This has been a really satisfying sew. It's been a very relaxing sew. I think Cyclone Alfred knows that I needed a nice relaxing environment to sew, so he's held off a little bit longer. Just my opinion, because he's certainly taking his time to get here, and I'm not mad about it. That's all clipped. Look at it. Love it. And I did not intend for these to match up. Then you want your bag exterior, and you want to decide how you want everything to go. So I want my zipper closing to the left. Oh, look, like a glove. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start gluing this, because even though the double-sided tape seems to be working. I'd just rather be safe than sorry. I'm going to start matching up my centers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start clipping all this together just to make sure everything lines up, as it will, because we know that it will. And then once that's done, I can glue it, and then we can come back tomorrow and finish it. So when I do the gluing on this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my glue towards the bottom edge of our fold over here, and then I'm going to piece them together. The reason I want it at the bottom edge is because I do not want the glue to come up over this seam, because you will see that. But I'm going to line it all up first and make sure that everything's where I need it to be, and then once I'm happy with that, then I can go ahead and start gluing it. So once I've gotten a couple of clips at the top, I can then come to the sides and start lining those up and then work my way around. So I'm matching up my seams here. How many clips do you think I drop on the floor every time I make a bag? Oh, far out. Look at that. Oh my goodness. That is going to be amazing. And then that is going to... Oh, look at that. That's how it's going to close. Oh, wow. Now that that's clipped and looking amazing, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue it. And then tomorrow, hopefully Alfred will have passed by then, and oh, look at that. And then I can move on and finish it. I love this bag. Wow. All right, I'll catch you all tomorrow. Hi everyone, we're back. It's the next day. Alfred pretty much turned out to be nothing, just waiting for the rain to come now. So thanks for that, Alfred. You just made everything just humid and yuck and yeah. Anyway, all right, I have turned my bag inside out ready for final top stitching. However, I am going to change to white thread for my top stitching, but keep the green in my bobbin. So before I go ahead and change over my top thread, I'm just going to start on the strap detail. Okay, with your strap detail, you need to go ahead and find the center. And lucky for me, I can use my 1/2 inch ruler that I got from Brymax. Next, we want double-sided tape. I'm just going to use 1/2 inch and run that down the center. Okay, we're going to fold the edges in to meet that center mark. We do not need to leave a gap for this. It's only a little one. Then we're going to top stitch both long edges at 1/8 of an inch. Oh, she's tiny. I'm going to have to let this sit for a little bit because I have had to use some glue and I really don't want to gum up my needle. This can sit off to the side and we can prepare our handles. So we want our handles and we want our strap ends. There's measurements given in the pattern of where we need to mark from the end of our strap ends. And you want to do that on both ends. And we're going to punch holes there. Now we're going to install our strap ends. Make sure that your strap's right side up. And I'm just going to have to squeeze the ends of these because it is quite thick here. Slide this on. So that's one end on. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to pre-punch the holes with my stiletto. I'm going to screw on my screws. I'm just going to screw that till it's about 3/4 of the way in, because you do not want it to pop out this other side. And once you're happy that it's all in, it's not going to move, you can screw that up all the way. Make sure with the strap ends that you are using that your screws go below the pre-drilled holes or are even with it, because if not, it's potentially going to rub on your vinyl or leather and cause a hole. There are some that have the screws designed to sit up. If you're using that, it's absolutely fine. There's one end done. Now repeat for the others. I finally got my strap ends on. Now we can go ahead and top stitch our strap detail. 1/8 of an inch from each side. Hi everyone, we're back. It's the next day. Alfred pretty much turned out to be nothing, just waiting for the rain to come now. So thanks for that, Alfred. You just made everything just humid and yuck and yeah. Anyway, all right, I have turned my bag inside out ready for final top stitching. However, I am going to change to white thread for my top stitching but keep the green in my bobbin. So before I go ahead and change over my top thread, I'm just going to start on the strap detail. Okay, with your strap detail you need to go ahead and find the center, and lucky for me I can use my 1/2 inch ruler that I got from Brymax. Next we want double-sided tape. I'm just going to use 1/2 inch and run that down the center. Okay, we're going to fold the edges in to meet that center mark. We do not need to leave a gap for this. It's only a little one. Then we're going to top stitch both long edges at 1/8 of an inch. Oh, she's tiny. I'm going to have to let this sit for a little bit because I have had to use some glue and I really don't want to gum up my needle. This can sit off to the side and we can prepare our handles. So we want our handles and we want our strap ends. There's measurements given in the pattern of where we need to mark from the end of our strap ends. And you want to do that on both ends. And we're going to punch holes there. Now we're going to install our strap ends. Make sure that your strap's right side up. And I'm just going to have to squeeze the ends of these because it is quite thick here. Slide this on. So that's one end on. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to pre-punch the holes with my stiletto. I'm going to screw on my screws. I'm just going to screw that till it's about 3/4 of the way in, because you do not want it to pop out this other side. And once you're happy that it's all in, it's not going to move, you can screw that up all the way. Make sure with the strap ends that you are using that your screws go below the pre-drilled holes or are even with it, because if not, it's potentially going to rub on your vinyl or leather and cause a hole. There are some that have the screws designed to sit up. If you're using that, it's absolutely fine. There's one end done. Now repeat for the others. I finally got my strap ends on. Now we can go ahead and top stitch our strap detail. 1/8 of an inch from each side. 1/8 of an inch from each side. And I am going to come across the bottom and then back up the other end. Now we want to go ahead and we want to find the center and mark that. Next, there's markings that we need to make. So from each of that center mark there, we're going to mark out the measurement that it gives in the pattern. And you want to do that from both sides of that center line. Just double check your measurements and then you can get rid of your center line. And we're going to punch these rivet holes right here on these lines that we made. Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to punch holes there as well. So then we're left with 4 rivet holes. Now you want your handle that'll be for the back of your bag. Now what we want to do, on your strap, I'm going to attempt to use rivets for this. We're going to put a post through both ends. Put your post through where we punched a hole on our strap. And then the holes that we just punched, so the center ones here, this is where we're going to put the post through these as well. So line up that post with the center ones, not the outside ones. Put that through. Make sure that your strap is the right side up. So it's going to look like that. But we need to punch the holes on our bag. So sit that to the side for the moment. I'm going to top stitch this and then we can finish the bag. I do want to start closer to a side seam. I've changed my needle. I've got my white thread in, but I do have green thread in my bobbin. And I'm going to sew it 1/8 of an inch from that edge. I'm actually sewing it just a little bit bigger than 1/8 of an inch because I want to be sure to catch both sides. And I'm just lifting it up as I turn around, as I bring it up to this corner. Now, up here is going to be quite a bit of a height difference because we've got those seams. So I might need to use my hump jumper. But I am going to put just a little bit of waterproof canvas behind the back here to protect that seam coming down because I don't want it to tear my vinyl. And see how this is trying to pop up? Push it out of your way. Fold it down underneath your bag. So this is my last thick seam here. So once I get over that seam, I'm going to come back in with my waterproof canvas and protect that vinyl. Push this down out of the way. And we're done. Looks amazing. Okay, let's turn this right sides out and then we need to punch the holes for our straps. I am so happy with that top stitching. Look at that. I can come in and press this because it got a little bit wrinkly when we did our top stitching because I had it turned inside out. But wow, that just fits perfectly. Oh, I love it. Look at this detail. I love these. I think I'm going to have to make another one. Alright, let's get these holes done. So we're going to go from the side seam here. Is going to be right there. So I've gone ahead and I've put a little T there. And we're going to have to punch a hole through that. So from the side seam out and right there. So we're doing that on both sides. Now it says when you do this just to check that you're not punching through any of your seams. So you're going to need to make sure that everything's pulled out of your way when it comes time to put these in, I'm going to put this behind where I need to punch, and I'm making sure that there's nothing apart from lining in my way. And this one's a little bit difficult to see. This little T right here is where I need to punch. You'll be able to see it better on this side. So make sure that everything's as flat as it can be and punch that hole. Did it go through? Yes. I am going to come in and put some fray check there too as well though. So that's one done. So the other one's right here. So there's my little T right there. And as you can see, it went through to that side. So I'm going to put some fray check there as well. I like this fray check. It's thick. It's more like a glue rather than a like liquid. So I'm making sure that I'm not going through any seams at all. And now we can go ahead and install our handles. Bring our handles back with our strap detail. So this was my back handle. Through there, through the front, and then this is going to be placed in these rivet holes that we just punched. So through there, and then through the other side, and then once you get it through, you can go ahead and put your post on. Now I'm worried that my posts aren't long enough, but they're the longest ones I've got. Okay, so I've pressed that on. I'll do the other side and then we'll see. Through our strap detail, through our second hole that we punched. I'm going to try and punch that before I do anything at the front, because if that doesn't work, I know that I've got to use Chicago screws, and I'm not confident. This side's already poked back out. Oh, it worked. Okay. Wow. That didn't work, that one. I think it slipped. I'm going to have to dig that one out. Let's try that again. Okay, we've got that. Okay, that's 2 done. This is what it looks like on the back. It says 10 inches, doesn't it? Oh, it was meant to be at the end. That's okay. So from that there, it was actually meant to be 10 inches here. That's alright. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead, just put an extra rivet in there. That's fine. No one will ever know. Let's just leave it like that. It's decorative. That's what we'll do. From the hole, the second hole that we made, it was 10 inches out, not from the center one. So I should have looked more closely at the photo. But that's okay, because we're fixing it. Now we'll have to come back and punch these holes, but that's fine. Next, what we need to do is finish the front. We're going to do the same thing. So look at our strap, making sure that it's right sides out. Put your post through there, through our strap detail, through our bag. Make sure it's not twisted. Pop your cap on. Got it. Rivets, you may be redeeming yourself in my life. Ah, there we go. Got it. Okay, so this is what we now have. What we need to do is we need to install our hardware here and join these two together. So, I've got 2 choices. I can either use an O-ring or a D-ring and a swivel clasp. It's only decorative. It doesn't physically serve a purpose, so I'm going to use the O-ring. So I'm going to put, oh yeah, much better. Prefer it with the O-ring, most certainly. Let's put that on one side, and I'm going to try and have it so that the edges of my strap are up against this strap, but that might be, yeah, that's not possible because of the thickness of the O-ring. So let's do it there, and then that's what that will look like. So that's how I want it. It's about 1/2 inch away from this side here. I want to put a rivet right there. I'm going to hold these two together and punch through both at once. There we go. So rivet through there. That's what that's going to look like. So now I've just got to do the other side. Got that side. Yay. Got it. I love that detail. This is so cute. Put our zipper pull on. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that recess zipper. Yes, please. Oh, I love me a good recess zipper. I love this. The little feet. Let's add the zipper end on and then she's done. And there we have it, our Celeste handbag by Rosa. Oh my goodness, she is beautiful. Look at it. I mean, I love this zipper top. And then the inside is so spacious. We've got a back slip pocket there. We've got a zipper pocket here. On the opposite wall, we've got another slip pocket here. And we've got our card slots. This bag is just amazing. Just everything fits together just so perfectly, but they always do with Alexis's patterns, but I can't get over how much room there is. It is a small bag, but oh, she's gorgeous. I love the strap detail that we've got. It's my kind of bling. Oh, I love it. I'm going to make more. So this is the second of the East West Coast bag series. I've got one more to do. I haven't cut it out yet. I haven't even printed the pattern pieces, but it's equally as good, if not. I don't want to say better, because Alexis's patterns are amazing. Oh my goodness, this is beautiful. Alexis, another outstanding pattern, and I needed this so today. It was nice, it was relaxing, and I used green and I'm really loving it. And here's the bottom. And these sides are just amazing. I love this detail on the sides. So there it is. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day, and I'll catch you all very soon. Bye.